If you were having a dream right now and there's something about that dream that you didn't like, what would be the only thing that you could do? Would you try to solve the problem in the dream? I suppose if you didn't know you were having a dream, you would. But the moment you know that it is a dream and you are living in a world that is created by someone who is dreaming, the moment you become aware of that, anything that you need to solve, anything that you need to fix, change, figure out, the only thing for you to do would be to contact the dreamer. The dreamer in this metaphor is the higher self. And this video is going to be about contacting the higher self and working with the higher self. And this is the best metaphor of what the higher self is and why it's worth it to make the effort to contact the higher self. The higher self is the aspect of you that sent you here. Like in the movie The Avatar, you're the tall blue avatar, and the higher self is the one that's plugged in, the one who is controlling your avatar. A better analogy would be in the movie The Matrix. You're Neo or whoever laying on that table with the thing plugged in your neck, and you're in the Matrix dreaming Mr. Anderson. So those are just metaphors, but let's say that you are a spirit being, a piece of the divine, of source, of God. And you are here in a world, in a realm, a physical world. And you are temporarily playing a physical character. And you are struggling because you are, to use a biblical term, you are wrestling against flesh and blood. But that's not what we wrestle against. We work with the powers and principalities, the governing forces, the things that rule this world. And that is the spirit. So the spirit part of you is where you're supposed to be putting your effort. You're supposed to be trying to contact the part of you that lives in the world, in the spirit world. So what does that mean? Living in the spirit world means that there is no time. So there is no, it will happen or it did happen. Living in the spirit world means there's no space. So there's no here and there. It's far away. I need to get to it. There is no limitation. So in the spirit world, there's not the concept of, oh gee, I wonder how I'm going to get that done. That seems impossible. The spirit part of you doesn't understand these concepts. The spirit part of you also doesn't understand separation. It doesn't understand limitations, and it doesn't understand pain or any of the patterns that your egoic mind, the little you that lives on this planet, has accumulated. So it doesn't understand, I'm such a loser, I have anxiety, I don't know how to do this, I'm afraid of that, I was hurt by my parents when I was young, and because of that I'm not able to do such and such. The spirit part of you doesn't understand that. It sees it in you, it sympathizes with you, it gets that is what you're going through. Of course it understands that, but it does not live by those limitations. The spirit part of you is before that, prior to that, above all of it. So it's important to have a relationship with the spirit part of you, because that is a part of you that understands the big picture. It's the part of you that can achieve anything. And it is a part of you with the greatest source of wisdom and guidance. It is the greatest voice of guidance available to you right now. For want of a better term, it is the voice of God. So if you want ultimate help, if you want inspiration, what you need to do is find a way to contact this higher self. Now, we make it seem difficult. Oh, how could I ever contact the higher self? But the truth is, spirit is everywhere. And the spirit part of you is everywhere. Your spirit is in and through your body, and it's you, and everything that you're experiencing exists inside of your spirit. So there is no distance to go to. All you have to do is allow yourself to communicate with spirit. That's talking to spirit, right? But hearing from spirit also requires simply listening. Spirit is always trying to talk to you. You do not have to deserve to hear from spirit. You do not have to merit it, earn it, beg for it, plead for it. You do not have to find someone to intercede for you. You do not have to find the master or the guru or any of those things. You don't need to find a medium or someone who has a gift. I'm not downplaying any of those things. Those all have their place. But in this moment, if you need guidance from the higher part of your being, you have it. It is there. It is there. So all you have to do is recognize I am just a small part of my being, and I will not solve this problem with my brain or with my muscles. I need to turn to my spirit. So stop the momentum immediately. Like a dreamer in a dream, I am dreaming. I need to contact the dreamer. So in the same way, you immediately say, whoa, this is beyond what the human part of me can handle. Let me contact the spirit part of me. 1. 2, ask. Simply turn to spirit and ask for help. The moment that you ask for help shows up in some way. Your spirit is not gonna ignore you. The moment you say, help me, it will respond to you in some way. So the second thing is to ask for help, because your free will is everything. Your spirit will not force you to do anything. If you want to struggle, it will let you struggle. You have to say, okay, I'm done struggling, help me now. And the third thing is you have to listen for and look for help from spirit. So one of the easiest, simplest ways to know this is to know that your spirit being exists in a constant state of peace, joy, and bliss. If you've been following my channel, I have broken down all of these into separate videos, how it is that your spirit is in fact love, it is at peace, and it is feeling joy. So if you have an idea that's based on hate, that idea is probably not coming from spirit. If you have, you hear a voice or guidance that says, let's go do something that's going to disrupt our peace, that's not coming from spirit either. But if you do something and you connect with the feeling of peace inside of you, then that is the voice of your spirit saying, yes, do this. So the simplest way to recognize what spirit wants or doesn't want for you is to recognize that the voice of spirit, the accent in which spirit speaks, is an accent of love, joy, and peace. If the idea, the guidance, the wisdom comes from a place of love, joy, and peace, or triggers the feeling of love, joy, and peace inside of you, if it takes you to a space of love, joy, and peace, then that is in fact the voice of your higher self. On a deeper level, you would want to contact the higher self for the big things, right? Going back to the metaphor of the dreamer, why would someone in a dream want to contact the dreamer? Because the dream is getting convoluted, it's turning into a mess. There's too much struggle, too much conflict. If you have a dilemma, if you have too much pain, if you have found yourself stuck in a place of pain or fear or anxiety, it might be time to find the reset button. And you do not have the reset button. This world does not have the reset button. The reset button is in the other place where the dreamer is, where your higher self is. If you if you want obviously guidance, there's a dilemma in your life and you need a higher form of guidance, that would also be a time to turn to the higher self. Also, healing. If you have a disease, an illness, or a condition, chances are, always are, it is the product of something going wrong. Life force consciousness comes into life-giving energy to create your being. And if your being is not vibrant and healthy, that energy has become twisted because of something. Because of a blocked emotion, because of a blocked feeling, because of guilt or shame, because of something that happened previously in your life or even in previous lifetimes. And this is where you do the work. Some people call it shadow work, some people call it therapy, whatever you want to call it. You have to go into the past, into the programming code to find out what has been typed into your code that is creating this. What is your spirit trying to get your attention concerning, right? I'm not going to go into detail in this video, but the traumas and pains and pain bodies that you carry in this being that you have called that we refer to as your egoic mind, that you call yourself, those traumas are causing illness in the body. And by dealing with those traumas, you can deal with the illness. But like in A Beautiful Mind or any one of those movies, the ill person cannot diagnose the ill person because the ill person is ill. It's complicated, but just take my word for it because I want to keep the video brief. You need the higher self, the one who has seen how you got into the situation. You need the higher self to guide you to where it is the situation was created, and then to guide you to what needs to be done. Forgiveness, release, whatever, energy work, whatever, to undo this energetic blockage that is manifesting as a physical illness or disease. So these are all situations where you need to contact the higher self. Mental healing, physical healing, problems in your life, guidance that you need, or inspiration. As an artist or just somebody who's looking for a solution because none of the things you've tried have worked, inspiration comes from the higher self. Your egoic mind, I'll address this in the next video in more detail, but just trust me when I say, your egoic mind is like a net that you dip into the ocean and you can only catch the things that are shaped like the net. You cannot catch a thought that is different from what your egoic identity is. If you want a brand new thought, a greater thought, a different thought, a spontaneous thought, you need to find where you need to talk to the higher self. You need to hear from the higher self. Also, if you want to achieve anything in this world, whether you want to call it manifestation or healing or whatever, if you want to achieve anything in this world, you must first achieve it in heaven. Heaven is the place where your spirit is. Heaven is the place beyond the egoic mind, essentially, right? So whatever is released in heaven is released on earth. So you have to go and find heaven. You have to find the kingdom of heaven, and then all these things will be added onto you. So the higher self can be thought of that it's a consciousness, a dimension, a place. It is heaven. So there's obviously a lot of need to contact the higher self. If you need deep healing, then you need to deeply communicate with the higher self, right? For me, in the beginning, when I was going through religious-based trauma that caused me to believe that I was an atheist, I was not willing to go through any spiritual ceremonies. So the only way I was able to hear from my higher self was through hypnotherapy. So I actually ended up doing QHHT, which is a fantastic process. Look it up, Dolores Cannon, QHHT. There's so many practitioners around the world. She has shared her gift with so many people, and it is a process that is very healing. But there's tons of other traditional methods. I also was blessed to have the guidance from a number of indigenous elders, Native American indigenous elders, who shared their particular traditional ceremonies with me. And sweat lodges achieve the same thing. They get you to that place. So the two things that need to happen for deep communication with the higher self is you need to withdraw your senses from this world. So you don't engage in the world, see, hear, smell, touch this world. You just go inside. And then you need to disidentify from the stream of thought. So it's not like, oh, thought. You go, thinking. And then you sit in the place of silence, where your mind and all of your senses are silent. That is achieved by meditation. Meditation is achieved by a number of different ways in different cultures. In the Native American culture that was shared with me, sweat lodges did it, fasting, vision questing. Those all achieve the same thing. I was also privileged to learn different techniques from the Eastern culture, the yogic culture. So one of the most powerful ways I did was the Sudarshan Kriya from Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. I recommend you go look that up. They do have classes everywhere that are either free or affordable. I recommend that. Or any type of yoga practice that leads you into nidra, the silence that comes after chanting or after mantra, after kirtan. So you can look into all of these if you'd like. Under the right guidance, with the right respect, and with the supervision of someone who understands the dream world and the waking world. You can also do plant medicines. Those are tools that were left here for us to explore. Being in the presence of a master, going to their talks, or even listening to their talks online or reading their books. By a master, I mean somebody who has clearly understood the two worlds. That will help you they can hold the door open for you so that you can glimpse your higher self and you can hear from the other side. It does not need to be forever. Do not let certain people who are irresponsible out there say that you absolutely need them. You don't absolutely need them, but in the beginning, if it's difficult, I recommend being in their presence. And you don't have to be in their physical presence. You can just be in the presence of their words, their songs, their teachings. And of course, anything that causes you to concentrate. The word samadhi doesn't only mean enlightenment, it means focus or concentration. So exercise. If you're a jogger, you know that there's a moment when the mind stops and something higher comes in. It also happens if you're playing music, if you're painting, if you're doing any form of art. If you're an artist, you know that all inspired art comes from the place of the higher self. If you go to a beautiful place, the beauty that you feel is experienced in your heart and not in your mind, and it will shift you from your mind to your heart, which is a dimensional shift. So in that place of beauty and stillness, I heard clearly from the higher self when I lived on a yacht for, I was doing research for a couple of months, and my busy mind had never been that still before, and I had never experienced anything as beautiful as the sunset in the North Pole. And when I saw it, I was like, and then this voice came in and told me a whole bunch of things that I needed to hear. The final thing that is easiest, most powerful, cheapest, fastest is conscious breathing. When you breathe, your spirit is breathing. And when you are conscious of your breathing, your mind is not the focus of your attention. So in that space, in one conscious breath, you are in heaven, in the kingdom of heaven, and you are hearing the voice of God. Practice your breathing. Check out my meditations on that. I'm going to do a nice guided meditation. I'm just working with a friend to help me edit it and put some music to it, because I want it to be a guided meditation for you to go into sleep. And in that meditation, it's going to be setting your intention to see an image or hear guidance from your higher self. So look forward to that. That is coming soon. But first, I want to do one more video on understanding the difference between your will and the will of the higher self. And how exactly does this manifestation thing happen? Do you tell the higher self or God what you want? Or do you figure it out from a relationship with that part of your being? And from there, allow it to happen. So that's going to be the next video, followed by the meditation. I hope that all these things are helping you to understand. I have always been somebody who needs to understand, so I describe things for you. But I will also give you very practical tools. Right now, breathe. Breathe with 100% presence, and there's nothing more powerful on this planet than that. But I will also do a guided meditation for you. So continue on your journeys and enjoy meeting your oldest and best friend and getting to know them once again, your higher self, who has always had your back. Have a wonderful day, everyone.